A few weeks back, the topic of gaslighting came up in a program that I was doing. It was a question asked by a participant, and when getting to answering and discussing that, I realized that several of the other participants had not even heard of the term gaslighting. So, what is gaslighting? Of course, it's a psychological term. It's been named after a movie that was made a long time back. But what it essentially boils down to is what happens to our self image, our identity, our mental model of who we are, the way that gets influenced as a result of things being projected onto us by people that we live with. Now, gaslighting can be a very intentional manipulation where the person doing it is very aware of it, and let's say it's a person who's living with you and this person constantly tells you, oh, you were not good at this thing, or you can't do this thing, or you're a very selfish person, or you are these are you're very careless, or you have a bad memory, or whatever it is, right? Or you're not responsible. And because this keeps it keeps being told to us, our brain actually starts believing that it's true. And once our brain starts believing it's true, then confirmation bias kicks in, and we actually start creating instances of that, giving ourselves more and more reason to believe that that's who we are. So now gaslighting can be very intentional and manipulative, but often, very often, it's not, in the sense this could be a person living with you, a spouse, a parent, someone who even loves you, but they have to cope with you, they have to live with you. And if they feel, for example, insecure because of you, or their reality is threatened in some ways, they begin to gaslight you without even them being aware of it, right? So it's just their coping strategy. But what happens to you as a result is that your mental model of who you are, what your capabilities are, what you can do and what you cannot do, those start getting altered, which means you are now believing a version of you that's not you. And that, in many cases, is, I think it's a tragedy. It's not empowering. Now, the good news is that these effects can be reversed, and this is what my upcoming workshop is going to be about. So first, for those who don't know what gaslighting is, a short introduction to what is gaslighting, and then how do you identify it, how do you stop it, and more, after stopping it, how do you begin to reverse the effects that it's had on your mental image of who you are, on your self-esteem, on your identity, right? Your idea of who you are and what you can and cannot do. And what I'm going to help you see is a way of doing all of this without separating yourself from love, because especially because gaslighting often occurs with and between people who actually love one another. There is, we can actually deal with this without needing to separate ourselves from these other people, and that is what we will be exploring. So if this interests you, do sign up, and I'll see you there.